Shamaya, you did it.
STL Music.
Is that good? Welcome back to the show. So listen up, we back in the game. Sweet the league, we got the flame. Motivated to the fullest every single day. We wake up, get it in every way. Right from the two in the global inspiration. Talk this sports and top news, no hesitation. Sweet the league is back. We always coming back, that's a fact. Wanna tell them that STL Music, mama, we did it, where we at? Coach Jill in the house with the flow so tight. Every perfect rock stats we unite, yeah. The best show, Monday through Friday, if this ain't different, they lying. We got the energy, when I say sweep, you say the league. Sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league. San Antonio, let's go. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. San Antonio, let's go.
Hey, it's Rain Fernandez, and you're watching Sweep the League. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and Facebook at Rain Fernandez, Rayne Fernandez.
Hi, it's Sherilyn, and you're watching Sweep the League TV. Follow me on Instagram at official Sherilyn for more content.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweet the League Radio.
Sweep the league TV where legends collide. If the Cowboys fall short, we'll still ride the tide. Like Jordan in the clutch or Brady's last play, we bring the fire, keeping fans in the fray. Coach Gio and Rudy calling the shots, with Derek Coventry, Hall of Fame thoughts. So hit that subscribe, don't sit on the bench. Get in the game, every highlight's intense. The live stream's on till your friends don't delay. Like Kobe in the fourth, we're here to play. Sweep the League TV, where greatness resides. From the blocks at the drive till the homes on the rise. We're all in on sports, NBA, CFB, and more for fans. By fans, it's the show you'll adore.
All right, welcome to the Tuesday night edition of Sweep the League. Rudy Campos Jr., the Tuesday Night Delight, is coming to you live. Thanksgiving week. We will have one more show tomorrow. Then we'll be off Thursday. We will be off Friday as well, so everybody can enjoy the Thanksgiving weekend coming up this weekend. Black Friday shopping is going to be happening Friday. I am probably going to endure those types of crowds. I don't like it, but we are planning to do it. So if I see you out there, be sure to say hi, man. We'll be shopping around, probably around the outlets area too. So we got a lot to get into tonight. Let's go ahead and welcome our Hall of Famer here, Derek Gervin, to the show. Derek, welcome back, man. It's been like a long week or something.
Hey, how you doing, my man?
Good, man. How are you?
Seemed like a long time, but here I am.
People were like, "Where's Derek? Where's Derek?" So, he's coming back. I promise, he's coming back. That's stuff he's got to do. So, I've been asked a couple of times. Any word on coaching? How's that going?
Well, I had a meeting with the guys a couple of days ago. Actually, I believe it was Saturday, and we're going to set up one more meeting, man. So all the guys weren't there, so I made it kind of told the coaches. I mean, the owner, it needed to be mandatory that everybody show up, so we could all kind of like put our heads together, and then after we had this next meeting, I'm gonna make my decision whether it's yay or nay.
All right. We're all anticipating the decision to be made, man. We're wishing, obviously, the best of luck, praying that the right decision is made, man.
Thank you very much.
Always, man. Always. It was an exciting football weekend, NFL-wise. Baltimore bounced back against the Chargers, and, the Cowboys just decided to go off and win a game, that they were not expected to win against Washington. But more so ever, I think the clearer picture came out when it came to college football and to find, the top 12 right now. So Colorado ended up losing. And, I remember telling you that they're going to lose to Kansas. They ended up losing to Kansas. They dropped all the way to 25th, damn near out of the rankings. That Kansas loss was huge for them. I remember when Indiana lost, you and I talked on the phone. I said they're probably not going to go lower than 11th. They're at 10th right now. So they're pretty much in there. They got Purdue this week. There's a couple of games this week that are going to be coming up. We're not going to cover all the games. We're going to kind of look at them. We're going to go over the top 12, get our bracket as well. Look at the brackets, look how that feels. And also, I hate to do this, man. I got a sad story that I got to present to you on the San Antonio Spurs. And I think we're going to start off with that first and foremost. So everybody listening, we got a good amount of people on the stream now. I'm going to say this. At the beginning of the season, I want to let everybody know I had the Spurs pegged for 30 wins. And right now, they are just a little bit better than that record-wise. So I want to ask you, I was on today's show with Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia, and the question that was posed is, are they a play-in team? Not playoff, but are they a play-in team as constructed? My thought process was, I can see it. I can definitely see them as a play-in team, but I pumped the brakes and I said, hold on. It's only been 17 games. We still got a lot of games to go. Sacramento is definitely not one of the teams in the play-in right now. They're still getting acclimated. I think the Timberwolves are still going to get a little bit better. They're having a lot of issues. DeJounte Murray is back for the Pelicans, so they're not going to be 4-14 forever. That's what I'm saying. There's going to be more improvements in the West. So I pose to you Jeff Garcia's question: are the Spurs a play-in team right now?
Right now, I'm gonna say yes, and it's not. First of all, Victor as you see, Victor's getting better. I'm actually looking at them right now against Utah, and I'm not going to base it off Utah. But if you look at it, man, the big fella's been going around that paint area a little more, and I mean they're hitting on all cylinders. Stephon Castle, I believe you had him as. Did you have him as the number one pick?
Number one prospect.
He's playing well, man. I mean, if you look at the team overall, the way they constructed right now, all the guys, Champagne, Branham, they're all playing, contributing.
Yeah.
And so right now, I would say yes, they are, because the other teams aren't playing so great. If you look at it like the Pelicans,
yeah, they're
struggling. Sacramento's with the DeMar DeRozan, I don't know how that's going to pan out, man. I know he's scoring points, and of course, Fox had 60, and then the next night 49.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's winning basketball for the way their team is constructed. So yes, I'm gonna say right now, Spurs look like a play-in team.
I had them pegged as a play-in team. I had them 30 wins though. I think right now they're looking at a lot better than a 30-win team. So I'm giving it probably. Let me get to 30 games in the year. Right now they're at 17. Give them another 13. Let's see the record after that. Then I can figure, okay, maybe I can go 37, 38,
40
but
and 42.
Well, the key is for the play-in, you've got to get to 46 wins, right around 45, 46. So
I don't know, Rudy. Ordinarily, the way it's going this year, I think it's going to be a little below that.
Could be. What do you think? 42, 41?
Yeah, it's going to be this year. The teams don't look like they're off to a great start. Even like Phoenix is going backwards. Dallas is struggling, but we know those are the teams they'll do better. But I don't think it's going to take 46, 47 wins this year to get to the play-in game. And I think the Spurs, I mean, right now they look pretty good, man. Every time you look at it, one thing you know about the Spurs is they're going to play hard 48 minutes. Of course, Pop set the standard, but Mitch Johnson has them playing well. And Victor's stepping up. I can see the improvement. He's figuring the NBA game out more. But him and Castle, man, I mean, if you look at the best duels in the league, we keep hearing about Jaylen Brown and Tatum. Now you got LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. It looks like Wembanyama and Castle are on their way to getting in that group.
Yeah, it's they're looking good, and that's the reason why I said he's my number one prospect and be the draft. Everything I saw at him at UConn, there was no other player outside of Dalton Connect. I had Connect at 2, but Steph Castle brought the defensive side, the mentality of the defensive side, and that's why I had him, probably leaps and bounds over Dalton Connect that too. But you're right. I mean, Castle and Wemby, that pairing is definitely going to go good.
Rudy, he's shooting the ball well. I watched him
Very.
earlier. He got the first 6 points, 2 3-pointers. The young guy's getting better, man. He's figuring it out, and him and Victor are going to be a potent duo. But here go the thing, though. When we talk about the play-in game, we have yet to see Devin Vassell.
Ooh, don't go any further than that, because that was my next question as far as the Spurs go. We got to get into that. Welcome, Sith Lord Elias. Does a great job on WWE and wrestling in general. Him and Brandon and everybody else do a great job when it comes to wrestling podcasts. They do spaces. You can join Sith Lord Elias for some of the best, if not the best, wrestling information. Follow him on Twitter. It's at Sith Lord Elias. He says, "Go Cowboys." It was a fluke victory. He knows. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it a fluke victory. That you have Turpin, getting that 99-yard return, and I'm spinning away, and then boom, he's gone. Just things happen, and the Cowboys were gonna. I figured the Cowboy Derek when I couldn't remember who grabbed the onside kick and took it back for the touchdown. I said that was the worst thing you could have done, because you're giving Washington 14, 15 seconds. All they got to do is score a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion. It's a tie game. So, yeah, I couldn't believe that. But he says, as constructed, I see them in the play-in tourney, but not winning at all. Leha from MCS, Chris Leha and I are going to host space after the 30th game. We'll give an assessment. So they're going to go after the 30th game of the year. They're going to give their assessment, him and Chris Leha. Shout out to Leha, MCS General Contracting. I said we'd peak at 45 wins. He's sticking to the range. So he's got him at 45 wins for the Spurs. At this rate, what are they winning? Probably right around that 44, 45 win if they keep up this pace right here. I think is what it is. So could be a very good call. But you brought up Devin Vassell. And here's the thing, because I posed the exact same thought before today's show on a previous show, and I actually got crap for it on YouTube. People were like, you don't know what you're talking about. But I was talking about with Devin coming back, Derek, there is absolutely zero chance that Stephon Castle goes to the bench.
Oh, no, he's not going to the bench.
You cannot. Now, my starting five that I posed was you've got to go with Paul, Castle, and Vassell. That'd be your backcourt. You can go small ball with Harrison Barnes and Victor. But if you really want to pay Jeremy, I don't mind Jeremy and Victor, but I'd rather have Jeremy come off the bench with Keldon.
Yeah.
And surround Victor with those 4 guys, because all 4 can shoot, and at least 2 of them can attack the basket. You've got 2 great ball handlers right there in Paul and Castle. What is your starting 5? Because personally, you're not moving Stephon Castle to the bench.
Oh, he's not even. That's not even a question. The only question is Sohan, between Sohan and Harrison Barnes. I think you can bring Harrison Barnes off the bench as a spark plug for the second unit with Wesley and those guys, because with them he gets to shoot the ball more, and we all know he's a very good shooter from the corners. He's not getting those opportunities as much now with Victor and those guys with that starting 5. And for me, I'm inserting Sohan in there because he brings that energy, and he's one of their best low post players, if not the best. When Victor's not in there, you got Sohan. And, I mean, the guy does a lot, man. He gets his hands on a lot of loose balls. He dives on the floor. He reminds me somewhat of like the way P.J. Tucker played a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Sohan is that kind of guy that brings his lunch pail every night. And I think the Spurs need him because he can also defend. For me, I would keep Sohan in there, and I would bring Harrison Barnes off the bench. And I just think with Harrison Barnes and Keldon, you could put Keldon on one side of the floor. You can have Harrison Barnes on the other side. You got Wesley, Jones, if you need to play Jones, Champagne. I think that's – hey, but Rudy, I got to mention one guy that they need to play a lot more, and it's not Charles Bassey. How do you say his name?
I just call him
Mamushvili.
Sandro Mamushvili.
He needs to play. He needs to play. He needs to be a regular part of the rotation.
Yeah.
And if you bring him in there, you got a very potent second unit.
Yeah, I like the fact, and I think for me, I'm sticking to Barnes staying in the starting five with Sohan coming off, because either way, even if you go Barnes at the second with the second unit, I don't know, man. To be honest with you, it seems like Harrison's probably been lately their second. If I mean, he won Western Conference Player of the Month, if I'm not mistaken. So could he really be the second best player on the team? If not lately, with maybe the first or second
Not
best
the
player behind
second best
Castle.
player. Castle's the second best player.
Well, I'm talking without Victor, because Victor was
Yeah,
out.
without Victor, there's no question.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harrison. But you could go either way. The only thing I question is would Harrison accept the role off the bench because of
that's the tough part.
him being the veteran like that. And so I think Sohan could accept coming off the bench. But either way, they got a good 10 guys that you can play. And that's what's surprising to me going into the season. I saw them maybe 7 or 8 guys, but then again, we go back, you add Devin Vassell, that makes the Spurs a team that can actually go 11 deep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, man. Because I figured if anybody, Champagne was going to struggle. I figured, because he struggled at the beginning of last year, and it was like, okay, this guy's not ready. He surprised the hell out of me. I didn't expect him to play this right now. The one guy that
Collins.
Collins. But even Collins seems to be struggling still with his position.
He's up and down. So you play him accordingly, but he's up and down. But if you look at their bench, you could go 11, just like the Warriors play. The Warriors play 10 or 11 guys. To even have that option means you got a pretty good team. There are not a lot of names that's going to fall off the page for people. But when you look at the way they play, man, it's been impressive. And with Victor only getting better, it makes them a formidable team. Chris Paul, he looks like a older version of himself, but he's still very intelligent. And tonight I saw Victor leading vocally. And so that's impressive to me. Hey, the things are looking on the upward trend, and that's a great sign.
It's a good sign. I didn't expect.
Rudy. Everywhere I go, I got a lot of Spurs gear, so I watched a lot of games this past high school games this past weekend. Yeah, I got my Spurs gear, and I don't feel bad wearing it.
It's not, it's kind of weird. I didn't expect this team to peak so quick, is what I guess I figured. I knew Chris Paul. I knew Harrison Barnes was going to bring an edge. I knew they were going to bring some victories. I didn't expect them to get off to this quick of a start with the schedule that in front. You're talking, they've beaten the top 3 teams in the Western Conference. They've beaten Oklahoma City. Now, I know it was without Chet, but still, they beat Oklahoma City. They beat Golden State, and they beat the Rockets. They've beaten all 3 teams already. They're being competitive in just about every game that you see. They are not probably, I think, they are the second best second half team. Or no, the first best second half team. They're the best in the second half right now. So I like Castle in the starting 5 because I want to keep that strong start.
It's not even
and
that's not even a question. Him being in the starting 5, that's done. That ship has sailed. He's a fixture in the lineup. So you just got to play around. Him and Victor can't be replaced. And of course, CP3. Those 3 cannot be replaced. I don't think they'll change Harrison, but the young fella, Castle, man, I mean, he's actually shooting up into the Rookie of the Year conversation.
Yeah, he's getting there. I still have McCain ahead of him, but I honestly, the last rookie rankings, they had him at 6. If he continues to play, he's top 3. He's got to be top 3 in the rookie rankings.
He's moving up. See, those other guys might have peaked already. You talking about McCain in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
So he's had a few 30-point games, but Castle's going to be known for doing it on both ends. And if he continues to score like he's doing now, and then how many people can you say and can hold Steph to whatever his percentage was? What, 5 for 16?
Yeah.
and can get a crucial block against Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Not many players you can say that about in the entire league.
Well, and that's what I told Jeff on Locked On. I said, everybody's talking about he was like, well, it's Stephon Castle being overlooked. Well, on the national media side, Derek, yeah, they're overlooking him. They are, because McCain's in a big market. You have Dalton Connect getting a lot of love because he plays for the Lakers, but Stephon Castle is still technically behind Victor Wembanyama. So Victor's going to get all the looks first off. But where I told Jeff, this is the coming out party. When he blocked Shea to win the game, that's when national media said, okay, we got our eyes on you now. Since then, Stephon's playing at a whole different level. It's been a couple of games, but you're starting to see everybody take notice now. Castle, Wemby, Castle and Wemby, Castle and Wemby. They call him Area 51 now because he's 5 and Victor's 1. So there's a lot. Shout out to the guy on Twitter. He's the one that came up with that. There's a lot of stuff with Stephon now, and I told you that was the coming out party when he blocked Shea for the win. That was it. That's when the league got put on notice right there.
They talking to him right now. They're interviewing him right now as we speak. But that, and then the plays Steph like he did. How many teams do you know of in the last several years that have come back from 17 points down against Golden State? And not only come back from 17 down, win by 10. Yeah. You're talking about a 27-point turnaround. That's very impressive. I think Steph might have ended up with 22 or something. It wasn't anything outrageous like he plays against Sacramento. And a lot of it was due to the young fella, man. I'll become a fan. And I told him when he stays and gets back, when Vassell gets back, then we have questions. Because who goes to the bench once Vassell comes back? Rudy, have you thought about that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right now, it's Champagne. I mean,
well, it has to.
Has to be. There's no, and I've heard the people talk about, well, that'll kill his confidence. I believe that too. That may kill his confidence a little bit, but you mean to tell me that you're going to have Devin come off the bench or Stephon Castle's got to come off the bench, or something like that? No, it doesn't happen. Julian, you're doing great, but we're going to need you to be a part of that second unit.
Pay Devin too much money to be coming off the bench.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You can't turn it into another Daniel Jones situation where you got to, put him all the way to the bench and he's one of the highest. He's not the highest.
Already got Keldon coming off the bench. So we all know at one point it was Vassell and Keldon. So now you got Keldon coming off the bench. You don't have both of them coming off the bench. Devin Vassell has proven himself as a starter in this league. He can get you 20 points, and he's a defender. Yeah. So they're going to have – but when you have those kind of things going on, you have to figure out who's going to come off the bench. That's not a bad thing. That's not happening in Utah. That's not happening in Washington. So that's not happening in Toronto. So that's only a good thing for the Spurs.
I love that Sith brought up this question because this was a very popular question on social media. And I'm going to leave it to you to answer because it's something that he asked you specifically right now. It says, does the coaching change have anything to do with the improvement of the San Antonio Spurs? And he doesn't mean it as a shot at Pop, obviously.
No shot.
Yeah, there's no shot.
I think it's also motivation for these guys with Pop being ill because, sometimes that helps. But then again, when you got a young guy, energetic guy like Mitch Johnson, that adds a little flavor. I think he has a little more – his leash is longer, I'll say, than Pop's might be. So, he's got a different approach. Young guy telling him to go out and play. And he puts it more you see Pop talking to Chris Paul a lot during the game. Yeah. With a young guy like Mitch, he doesn't have to – he's not going to be in Chris's ear as much. He's going to let Chris run the show, and he's going to kind of sit over there and only speak when really necessary. And I believe it has. I don't think it's hurt them at all with him with Pop not being there. I think Mitch has done a really good job. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. We can't foresee the future if Pop were to get healthy and able to come back. But yeah, I think it's helped a little bit. It's re-energized the guys.
The thing too is that I think what I look at when I look at Mitch taking over is the fact that it's a lot of it's adjustments. I think what it is, but he seems to be, in other words, when Pop was, seeing the Spurs falter, struggle, he uses a different coaching method. Sometimes he allows them to work through it. Sometimes, he's really quick to call the timeout. I'm seeing Mitch is kind of the opposite. he knows when to stop. He knows when to call that timeout. He knows when to make that small adjustment. He knows when to sub a guy in and out. He's kind of taking a page out of Pop's book, but inserting his coaching style. Because remember, he was a coach for the Austin Spurs.
You know, one thing that could help, and I'm gonna say that was a great question for Sip. That was a fantastic question.
Yeah, great one.
You're dealing with a young guy like Mitch, right? That gives not only Chris Paul a voice, some of the other guys might see some things that they, on the floor that they could talk to Mitch about. So he'll be more approachable with them than Pop would be. A lot of guys are intimidated by Pop because of all the things that he's done over the course of his career, and he's much older. When you're dealing with a young guy, sometimes he has an open door for you. And we know Pop doesn't always have an open door. So when you got a guy like that, I hear you. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can raise the morale of a team. And I think that's where they are right now.
I really looked at Pop as like, okay, well, I'm starting to see Mitch a little more. And he's more of a generation now type of coach. And like you just mentioned, Pop's one of the all-time greatest coaches in the league in basketball, period. Probably in all sports, period. But there's certain coaching styles that kind of wither away and don't work anymore. And you have to adjust. And I think there was some instances where Pop was struggling to adjust to the new style of NBA, the new players coming in, attitudes, everything like that. And again, no disrespect to Pop, but there comes a time when even Jerry Sloan couldn't coach, basketball anymore because his style wasn't working anymore. You had the whole Deron Williams thing going on when Stockton and Malone left. A lot of guys they coach up until they can't coach anymore, but sometimes you overdo it, and these players are a whole different breed. So Mitch Johnson taking over, a young, fresh face, yes, but no disrespect to Pop by any means at all. Sid is saying, you remember the third quarter rehearsal? Yeah, the third quarter was terrible.
Yeah, who could forget? That team, Golden State, made their living on teams in the last several years in the third quarter. And yeah, the Spurs had some hiccups last season in the third quarter. But we got to remember, Victor was only a rookie. And then we had Trey Jones in the backcourt. So things have changed this year. You got Chris Paul in there. Now you got a first ballot Hall of Famer running the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they don't talk about it, but to me, they're one of the best backcourts in the league when you look at Chris Paul and Stephon Castle. And people are saying Chris is aged. He's older. But as you know, some people age like fine wine. So he's running the show. And Victor listens to Chris. So, that's always a major thing. Who was he going to listen to last year? They didn't really have anyone that was leading the team. So when you bring in a Chris Paul, it changes the dynamics of the team. And then you bring in a Mitch Johnson. I'm just saying, we know Pop is not anything against Pop, but sometimes when you bring in a fresh face and a young fresh face like this guy, he lets them play. He lets them be themselves.
Exactly. Jacob Eric Castle is turning out to be a beast. He really is. Before we go to our first commercial break, Derek, I'm giving you the floor on this. So I'm going to present this for everybody to see. You wanted to talk about it a little bit. Let's go ahead and get to it right now. And that is the Fred VanVleet video that came out. So he was fined $50,000 is what it was. No suspension. Kind of, we've seen Draymond, do his thing and not get suspended. He would get fine, hefty. VanVleet had a $50K fine of why I said no suspension on it, but I get the frustration. But this is where it comes to you. I'm going to give you the floor on it because as a player, you've played the game and you played it at such a high level. How do you feel about this right here?
Well, honestly, I like Fred VanVleet. He's averaging about 14 or 15 this year. His shooting percentage is down. But to be honest about it, Rudy, I thought he should have been suspended. Because not only did he point in that ref's face, he told the other two refs they suck as well. So he went around the floor and pointed at all three of them. You suck. You suck. And then, of course, we know what he called the last ref. Well, you know what he called him.
Yeah.
And then he threw the N word in there as well. So BAN. And this sets a bad precedent because now And I heard him on his interview from last year. If you remember, he got a fine for last year, talking about Ben Taylor. And he got $50,000 fine for that, but he wasn't suspended. This sets a bad precedent because now all of these guys can afford a $50,000 fine. So now you're going to have guys that's really going at the referees. We see Draymond and Luka constantly going off on the refs. I'm sure the refs weren't too happy about this because now, I mean, what does it take for you to get suspended? You got guys getting up in the ref's face, pointing in his face. That's totally disrespectful for me. And the $50,000 fine, that's to these guys, man, that's like a nickel. So I thought he should have been suspended.
How many games would you have gone him for a suspension?
Honest, I say for what he did, I say 5 games.
Yeah, I was
with
around
no pay. Seriously.
Yeah, I was around the 6-game mark.
That's totally disrespectful. I mean, that crossed the line there. We're not even talking about the cheap shots or, Draymond and some of his antics. This right here, he showed all 3 referees up. And that was very, very bad. And for them to make a $50,000 fine, I mean, how do you think the referees felt after that? I'm talking about not just those 3 referees in general. When do we get back to protecting the referees and protecting the integrity? You shouldn't be in the guy's face like that. I thought that was automatic suspension.
I was hoping it would have been too. I was kind of disappointed with a $50,000 fine only. Like you said, it's a nickel.
He had to move his head, man, so he'll get poked in the face. I mean, come on. Yeah. What next? We grabbing referees? What's next?
I don't know, man. But, I look at it on the bigger picture. Houston is the 3rd seed in the West. This is your leader on the court right here. This is Fred VanVleet, and this is a leader of the court. This is your veteran leadership right here. Acting a fool like this, you're not setting any examples for the younger guys, and it kind of pissed me off because you know what, you had a bad call. It was a horrible call, but Derek, name me one ref that gets every damn call right.
I'm gonna name a ref, and I'm gonna show you how when you set a trend, right?
Yeah,
it reminds me of Chris Paul with Scott Foster.
Yeah.
Nothing was really done to Chris. Every time you look around, he's talking crazy to Scott Foster, and then Scott Foster takes the blame for it, basically.
Yeah.
And we all know Chris Paul. Chris has been a cheap shot artist throughout his career. A lot of people can overlook it, but I'm not going to. It's not just Draymond. So now you got you go from Scott Foster and Chris Paul. You think VanVleet didn't see that going on?
Yeah.
So now you got VanVleet and Scott, what's his name? Ben Taylor.
Yeah.
What's next, man? When you let your guy get up in the ref's face like that, I'm telling you, that sets a bad precedent moving forward.
It's a terrible precedent, man. It's something that I was hoping he would definitely get suspended for, at least minimum 6 games for me. You had said minimum 5 games. Either way, he should have been suspended. Seth was saying that he thought he poked him. Yeah, I thought he poked him in the head, when I first saw it. But yeah, something's got to be done, man. These refs are going to start, well, I mean, hell, they can be boycotting some of these damn games if it gets any more worse. They can just walk off the damn job. It's a literal strike, man. So we don't want to see anything like that.
50,000, Rudy.
That's nothing.
Not 500,000. I mean, a real dent in the pocket. Okay, I mean, come on. If you're not going to suspend him, it should have been 10 times the fine that it was. What's $50,000 to Fred VanVleet when some of these guys walk around with $50,000 in their bags that they carry around?
I don't think I'll ever own a bag like that ever. I barely carry $20 in my wallet, so I don't think I would even want to own a bag like that.
Well, they learn it from the rappers, because remember the rappers walk around with their money in the bag, and they got to show you their thousands and they 100,000 in their bag and all that stuff. And so, the NBA emulates the rappers. The rappers emulate some of the NBA. Hey, when you get back, can we talk about another guy right quick by the name of Ja Morant?
Yeah. As soon as we get back from commercial break, we'll talk about Ja Morant, and we'll get into the CFP top 25s out. We'll get into the top 12 and the bracket that came out to end the show here. Talking to Derek Irvin, obviously Hall of Famer, UTSA Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. We'll be back in 1 minute. Are you looking for a contracting company that gets the job done right the first time? Look no further than MCS General Contracting. MCS specializes in top quality concrete work, including patios, driveways, foundations, and swimming pools. The team of experts are dedicated to delivering exceptional results and unparalleled customer satisfaction. At MCS General Contracting, they're not just hardworking, they're local. Based in San Antonio, they are committed to building relationships and trust within the community. That's why MCS guarantees your satisfaction. They pride themselves on getting the job done right the first time, every time. So why wait? Contract MCS General Contracting today to schedule your project and experience the difference for yourself. MCS General Contracting, building a better San Antonio, one project at a time. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League.
Exclusive interviews with Rudy and the crew. Let's go.
You are watching Sweep the League TV. Make sure you subscribe and catch our new videos.
Sweep the League TV with Rudy, Derek, and Coach Gia. Let's get back to the live show. You are watching the best in the business. For the ones who doubted, now we're showing the proof. Came from the struggle, we live in the truth.
STL Music.
Yeah, challenges come, but we here to stay. Built from the dirt, now we paving the way. Had a bad day, but
All right, welcome back to Sweep the League. Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. Sure to go to our YouTube page. All you got to do is search Sweep the League TV, be a subscriber on our YouTube page. A lot of Sweep Unplugged episodes have been coming out. I think there's been 11 or 12 of them already out in the past couple of weeks. We got a bunch more coming out. Also, we've got a lot more setups for Sweep Unplugged Live. So be sure to be a subscriber because Sweep Unplugged Live can get pretty crazy. We had Chuck Vans for the very first episode. Top 4 Mount Rushmore rock bands. That was awesome. That was awesome. Derek missed that one. That was an awesome show right there. I promised him I wouldn't ask him his top 4 rock bands. There's no way I can get that out of him at all. He wanted to talk about John Moran, man. What's up with John Moran?
Does Guns N' Roses count as rock?
Yeah, Guns N' Roses counts.
Metallica.
Actually, Metallica's in the Mount Rushmore for me and Chuck.
The Beatles.
The Beatles counts as rock. It does count as a rock.
Well,
band.
that's 3 already. And the last one could be so many different groups. I could even go old school. You call ZZ Top, or would they be considered? Yeah, so it's a lot of them. It's so many that I like, honestly. But yeah, Rudy, job. Okay, first we see with the gun thing going on now.
Yeah.
Ja Morant, and he's the last person should be pointing a gun. So we got him doing it, and then who goes out now and emulates him, copies him? Desmond Bain scored a basket on Caleb Martin, and then he's shooting the gun. And Caleb Martin approached him about it, didn't really like it. And then we go to Kansas City. Now you got Patrick Mahomes doing it. I mean, come on, man. What's really going on, man? That's not a good thing to be showing the young kids, first of all.
No.
And the NBA and the NFL have got to do better, man. I don't like seeing that. There's nothing positive going to come from that kind of stuff, and I just don't want to see it, man. I want to see these guys just play the game, still show sportsmanship. And when you start pointing the guns and all that, that sends a bad signal, man. It's just not a good thing.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of get everybody a chance to see it too, because I know I didn't see it, but there you go. Desmond Bain nails it, goes and mark to Caleb Martin, and yeah, you're right. Martin doesn't appreciate it. Approaches Desmond Bain about it right there, and I agree with you. It's something that probably should not even probably, it shouldn't be a part of any game. There's no way about it. Now, John Moran obviously went through what he went through because of it. I mean, there's no reason. Look at that. There's no reason for that in any game whatsoever. I agree with you on that, man. It should be eliminated from the game, period, man. There's no room for that in any game whatsoever. Like,
these guys are so monkey see, monkey do. What's cool about that?
There's nothing cool about that. Nothing cool about that at all. I don't get it. There's nothing cool about it. This all started even back in Gilbert Arenas' day when he had the gun in the
Right.
locker
Well, that's
room.
him and Javaris Crenton. And then
Yeah.
the young man ended up going to prison for murder. And then, of course, Gilbert, bringing the two guns into the locker room. Those are the things we need to do away with, just like they dealt away with the drugs in the late 70s and 80s. That wasn't cool. And then we go into the gun thing. And now you got people carrying legally, man. There's nothing cool about that at all. I hope Adam Silver and Roger Goodell, man, they got to get on top of this before it gets totally out of hand.
Hoping so. Shout out to Goodell and Adam Silver. Do y'all's thing, man. Don't let this get out of control. Nip in the bud right now, as we're about to nip the top 25, the top 12, and the football preview prediction bracket right now. All right, there you go, Derek. We've got the top 25 out. Obviously, the top 12 are what's going to be in the college football playoffs after week 13. 1, 2, 3, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas. Penn State is at 4. Notre Dame climbs to number 5. Noticeably missing Indiana, drops from 5 down to 10. But then you got Miami, Georgia, Tennessee, SMU. Indiana rounds out the top 10. Boise State, Clemson, Alabama, the 3-loss team, drops to 13. I thought they may drop a little further, but they didn't. They didn't drop it any further than 13. So they're still kind of flirting right there with the CFP right there. We see what you're doing, committee. We
all about the money, man.
We see what you're doing. Ole Miss at 14. The two teams that I've got my eyes on are South Carolina and Arizona State. They both can control their destiny going in to the weekend here, because if I'm not mistaken, South Carolina plays, I want to say it is, I got it here somewhere, man. Oh God, you got to bear with me. I had it a second ago.
No, but while you're looking it up, who are the three hottest teams in college right now? It's Kansas, it's South Carolina, it's Arizona State.
Arizona State.
They're the three hottest teams right now in all of college football, NCAA college football.
Yeah, and they kind of control it. Now South Carolina plays Clemson, and that's why I said if they beat Clemson, they should jump Clemson, and they technically should be into the top 12 with that win over Clemson. I mean, they are one of the hottest teams going down. Now, Arizona State is going to take a little bit of a grind because they got to go up against Arizona. And that's the part where, okay, Arizona State, I think they can get into the Big 10 the Big 12 championship game. So if they win the Big 12, I think they are automatically in.
Don't they have them as number 12 right now in the playoff for the playoff teams?
Arizona State?
Yeah, I believe they have them as a 12 team.
I got the bracket right here. They do. They're number 12 because they are the top of the Big 12 right now. So this is the bracket if it was to come out today. You'd have Oregon, Miami, Texas, and Boise State all getting buys in the first round because they are their conference champions. Then you got Arizona State, who would win the Big 12 there. They would be number 12. They would be the last team in, basically. But yeah, this is where, a lot of these other teams, it's kind of like, okay, Bama's in there. They're scratching the surface. They still have a fighting chance in there, but a lot's got to happen. And I mean, a lot's got to happen. You're talking Georgia's going to have to end up losing this weekend probably, which I think Georgia plays Vanderbilt, which let's not forget, going to Vanderbilt is tough.
Not a gimme at all.
Yeah, it's Georgia and Vanderbilt this weekend, Vandy. So that's a tough game. No. I'm sorry, Derek. Tennessee goes to Vanderbilt. That's the game to watch.
Well, still not a gimme.
Georgia plays Georgia Tech. We know Georgia Tech's already pulled off some upsets this year. So there's still a lot of football to be played. It's rivalry week as we see the renewed rivalry of Texas and Texas A&M on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow. Now, it's funny because none of these kiddos have played in this rivalry before. It's been Texas OU. And we're talking, it has been buku years since we've seen A&M in Texas fighting it out at the end of the year on Thanksgiving weekend. How big, even though, I mean, this is a big game. It's a huge game.
It's even bigger now because of the talk that's going around about Mr. Ewers transferring at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And them handing the keys to Arch Manning.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's always a good thing, man. I don't know if that's a motivational tool or not. I think this is bad timing, that coming out right now. But you and I both picked Texas to win the championship.
Yeah.
But I told you once again, I can't doubt Oregon. I just think something tells me Oregon is going to suffer that one loss, and it's going to be at a very critical time. So even looking at it right now, looking at all these brackets, I would have as my favorites right now would be Texas, and I hate to say it, Ohio State.
It's I would say so. I can't lie, man. As much as I love Indiana, and let's call a spade, man. I don't like Ryan Day. I do not like Ryan Day.
I don't either.
And I don't like him even more after this weekend when you clearly have the game in victory. You're in victory formation. You decide to quarterback sneak it into the end zone to add more points. Now, I get college football, it's style points. But there's a line between, okay, we got the game won, and you know what? I'm going to be an asshole because Kirk Signetti is talking all this crap before the season. Why don't you be the bigger man, take the victory knee, go into the locker room and all that? No, run up the score. That stuff like that will come back to bite you in the butt later on.
Bad sportsmanship, and it also raises the question once again about with this betting being legal. Anytime you see teams make those kind of suspect moves, there's always going to be people that question the integrity of the game now with all this betting going on.
Yeah, Ryan, that was a classless move by Ryan Day. And he can kiss my you know what, because that just made me dislike him even more. But nonetheless, man, I understand about the Ohio State thing. I think Oregon, Ohio State for the Big Ten title. Why do I have a feeling that's where Oregon meets its demise? I think that's where they suffer it, even though they clearly beat Ohio State the first time. I just feel like Ohio State's a different team compared to that first game that they played. So it's not going to knock them out. There's no way they get knocked out of the final 12. But I think you're right. That one loss, I would rather it come in that game than in the bracket. I'd love to see Oregon kind of run the table.
Why are they so blatant though, as far as being obvious of the teams that they want to be in the playoffs? Why is Alabama still hanging around? Honestly, and there you got them ranked over Ole Miss and South Carolina. I don't understand it. They haven't looked great all season, but yet they continue to try and put them in the playoffs. Man, I think that is so unfair. It's a shame.
It's a hell of a shame there. I mean, it's really terrible. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
13th best team in college this year. I just don't believe it.
I don't believe it either, man. I don't believe it. It to me, it's really, really crazy that they're really trying to just keep out. And we'll get pushback. We always get pushback, and they say Alabama.
Points, man.
Well,
they had 3 points. I mean, come on.
You don't have to convince me on that, man.
3 points. Are you kidding me? 3 points. Nick Saban could score that on his own right now at his age.
I agree. I agree with that, man. I really do. And to me, it's crazy. It's super crazy that Bama is still right there.
You move LSU completely out of the picture.
Yeah.
But you keep Alabama in there. And I don't think Alabama's any better than LSU.
No. No, I don't think so either. And we're going to find out because Bama plays Auburn this week. You know, I think that's the Iron Bowl, if I'm not mistaken.
I hope Bo Jackson shows up. Some of the running back has a Bo Jackson day.
That would be awesome if that happened with Bo Jackson just coming right there and wheeling and dealing when it
Running
comes
out the
to
tunnel on them for 300 yards.
oh man, you need like what Bo Jackson. Who else was in Auburn? Cam Newton was Auburn, was a Tiger for a little bit there.
Hey, wait, Rudy, I don't mean to get off to college. We get right back on it.
No, you're good.
Speaking of Cam Newton,
Yeah.
does he have a right to be upset? Because he said if Eli Manning gets a jacket, he deserves 2 of them. What do you think about that?
No. That's tough to say. That's tough. Was Cam Newton an MVP?
Yeah, well, he's an MVP, but I mean, Eli has 2 Super Bowls.
That's what separates it.
And how many teams can say they beat Tom Brady twice?
My initial thought was no. Cam Newton doesn't deserve, a jacket. Eli does 2 Super Bowls, both of them against Tom Brady. One of them is remarkable and memorable because Eli stopped Tom from having the second perfect season ever in NFL history. If they win the Super Bowl, they tie the Dolphins for the second team to have a undefeated season. So Eli stopped that dead in its tracks. For me, that deserves a gold jacket no matter what. I mean, if you're stopping Tom Brady from having the perfect season, to me, that deserves a jacket. Cam Newton, I would say no, does not. He doesn't deserve to have a jacket.
Maybe if he dove on the fumble, we'd be having a different conversation. But for him to not dive on that fumble, I think that kind of tarnished his reputation, his image a little bit.
His image plus his attitude towards the end of his career, that put a little bit of a black cloud over his head. I mean, clearly people remember the reporter the comment he had to the female reporter when she asked the question. I think there not only is the Hall of Fame to me, it's all based obviously on performance, obviously, but I think a lot of it has to do, kind of character in some sort of ways. I mean, hell, it's so much that you look at the Baseball Hall of Fame. There's so many guys out there that if you take away what you think you know about them, they're Hall of Famers no matter what. But because Barry got caught up in this, because Pete Rose got caught up in this, they tend to go for that more than they go for the actual stats that get you in. If I'm not mistaken, to get into the Hall of Fame, a lot of it's all stat driven. What have you done in the league? What have you accomplished in the league? Now, Cam Newton's got an MVP, but there's no Super Bowl championships there. There's nothing to back him on his MVP. Other than a Super Bowl appearance.
Say you right there on the borderline, and then when you say things like he did in that interview, it kind of reminds me of, I go to the NBA, Tim Hardaway Sr.
Yeah.
When he made his comments.
Yeah.
When you're on the borderline, it's certain things that you can't get away with that some of those at the top of the really elite can get away with. And sometimes some of those things, they come back to haunt you. And Cam, I love Cam, man. I think he did some really good things in Carolina, but for him to say he deserves 2 gold jackets if Eli gets 1, I'm not on that boat. No.
Yeah, I think you and I agree completely. No, I'm sorry, Cam. You probably don't. Speaking of Hall of Fame, there, I'm not gonna get too off the subject here. We kind of covered the CFP already, but there's Marcus Aldridge, a Hall of Famer.
Wow, man. Ooh, let me see here.
I was asked that recently, and I said yes, but I don't know. It's kind of like those. Yeah, I think so.
His production, I mean, he was very consistent, a 20 and 10 guy, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And he was shooting the jumpers. I mean, you got guys like Bob McAdoo. LaMarcus was, to me, that's a tough one. Chauncey Billups just made it.
Yeah.
And I think
has titles.
If Chauncey's in there, I know you got the titles, but if you look at just consistency, for me, LaMarcus Aldridge is a Hall of Fame.
So no disrespect. As much as you and I like to disrespect players on the phone calls that we make sometimes between us, no shout out at, but if Reggie can be a Hall of Famer,
It's
then
true. You don't get me
LaMarcus
started.
should be in there.
For the people that don't know, Reggie Miller played 18 years.
Mhm.
And I know they're going to talk about he had some good moments against the Knicks and the Bulls. But
Yeah.
if you look at the entirety of his career, he played 18 years. He made third team All NBA 3 times.
Yeah.
And that was early in his career. And it's kind of like Vince Carter. Vince played 22 years. He made All NBA second team once, and he made All NBA third team twice, I believe. And then the last 19 of his years, he didn't make first, second, or third team All NBA. So, I mean, if you really look at it, you just go by consistency. LaMarcus Aldridge, we know shooting that jump shot, that mid-range jump shot from the free throw area, and he rebounded the basketballs. For me, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that's why I said I was like, yeah, he's in. Well, yeah, I can't say he's not. That's kind of why I went back and forth on it. And I knew when I got you back on the show, I wanted to ask you if LaMarcus was, because they asked me. At the end of the day, I said, yeah, he is a Hall of Famer, but I wanted to get it from your perspective too, to see, because then if it hit me, I mean, God, if Reggie's in it, LaMarcus has better numbers than Reggie does. So I would say, Reggie's in, LaMarcus has to be in. To me, that was the bar right there. I mean, if he's in, he's got to be in.
Portland Trailblazers, man. I'm hoping that his jersey should be retired in Portland as well. And I thought he played great with the Spurs as well. He had to adjust when he came to San Antonio. But one thing you can never say about him is that he was inconsistent. Wherever he played, he's going to give you at least 20 points, and he's going to give you 10, 11 rebounds. To me, that's a Hall of Famer when you do it as many years as he did it.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and no doubt about it. I mean, he had a brilliant, man. You bringing up the Portland Trailblazers, and I still go back to Brandon Roy. I saw a video of him the other day, and I'm like, golly, why were we robbed of him because of injuries? I mean, there's guys you can say, Hank Gathers, Len Bias,
Reggie Lewis.
Reggie Lewis is another one. We were robbed of guys because, of unforeseen, instances. Drazen Petrovic, we've been robbed of guys like that. But Brandon Roy, just being robbed of Brandon Roy because of injury, man, I saw videos of him the other day, and we bring him up a lot on this show.
Phenomenal.
It's crazy. It is
phenomenal
crazy.
Player. Phenomenal.
Do you think he would have? How many MVPs would you have put on his mantle?
I don't know. I think he would at least got one, but but he would have been for me. He's a guy that's 4-time or 5-time first team All NBA, and that's saying a lot. My brother was 5-time first team NBA, and that's very difficult. But that's where I think we were headed with Brandon Roy. He could play, he could score the basketball. He was strong as an ox, as we know, and he could defend. And to see him get hurt, his career be cut short by injury, is a travesty, man. It's kind of like my guy right now. He'll never get the recognition he deserves, the credit he deserves. We're looking at Kawhi right now.
Yeah.
Kawhi will never be the same. I don't believe he'll ever be the same. And for me, Brandon Roy is another guy in that same area. When you talk about the type of player that Kawhi was, Brandon Roy is not far behind that at all. And it was sad to see him get injured and for his career to end up not being the career that I know for a fact that he would have had.
No kidding. And for the kids out there, Brandon Roy, I would easily have said he would have been first team All NBA ahead of Kobe. Easily. I mean, people are going to probably hate for me to say that because we know that Kobe gets love, and I love Kobe as a player, Kobe as a person. He great. But to me, Brandon Roy, better than Kobe.
I'm going to say this. Dame Lillard couldn't carry Brandon Roy's jock strap. And I'm standing here on our show.
You said it, and you know what? We're going to believe
it.
Yeah. I will not ever argue that with you. That's how good Brandon Roy
Clyde
is.
Drexler and Brandon Roy for Portland.
Man, all-time starting five. You got to have Brandon Roy in there.
For Portland starting five?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I'm taking
Sabonis
at center.
Ooh, Sabonis. You wouldn't put Walton?
Because Bill, the only reason I say, well, all right, well, I can play them together.
I was gonna say Sabonis at 4 would probably work
I
good.
can play them together, and then throw. That's a heck of a lineup. You got Brandon Roy, you got Drexler, you got Sabonis, you got Bill Walton, and at that small forward, hell, I'm telling LaMarcus, you play small forward, man.
Would you have to put a point guard in there somewhere with that team?
Brandon Roy can play point guard.
He could play point. Okay. I'll give you that.
They're doing it with Devin Booker.
Well, that is true.
Yeah, because Tyus Jones is not. He's really playing off the ball.
Yeah.
So just like last year, they using Devin Booker as the point guard, and Brandon Roy could do it all. So yeah, in his case, I think he can make the adjustment and play it. He could play it really well too. Not just play it well.
I think we're gonna have to have a fun show, a fun NBA show coming up here. Who are our all-time starting fives for most of these teams? That would be a crazy one because I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you would make the Nets all-time starting five.
If I was healthy, I would have, but I'm not gonna put. I'm gonna go with Derek Coleman and those big Jason Williams. You remember Jason Williams?
I remember Jason Williams. Yeah.
My backcourt is Mookie Blaylock and Drazen. So you got Derek Coleman, and I'm gonna go with Buck Williams.
There you go. Oh man, Buck Williams, another former Trailblazer great. Buck Williams. Wow, man, we're gonna have to get that show sometime here soon. But unless, man, tomorrow we're gonna be back, and then we're gonna be off Thursday and Friday. So tomorrow's gonna be our pick'em show. We're gonna make all of our picks tomorrow, go over everything that we can, and then we're gonna enjoy the 4-day weekend. I think we're gonna be back next Monday. I know Derek may not be able to, Gio may not be able to, but if they do, great. If not, we're gonna run a Monday. Yeah.
I plan on being there, my man.
All righty. So we're going to have a full week of show pretty much next week. So you're going to get us probably Monday through Friday when it comes to next week's after Thanksgiving. But got some other stuff in the works as well. So everybody just be sure to take a look at our social medias at Sweep the League on Next. Go to YouTube, search Sweep the League TV, be a subscriber. Tons of stuff coming out. But for right now, until we see everybody tomorrow for Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr., until we sweep the league again, we'll see you later, Knuckleheads.
Everybody have a good night. Happy holidays.
Are you a hockey fan looking for the latest on the Edmonton Oilers, Pittsburgh Penguins, and NHL news of the week? Barry and Carson Best bring it all to you on the Best Boys Center Ice podcast. They break down games, provide insider updates, and keep you up to speed every week. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and join their hockey family.
Welcome to the Lean Left, Lean Right podcast, where spirited debates and open discussions reign supreme. Join hosts Rudy and Shemaya as they dive headfirst into the hottest topics in politics and beyond. They're all about seeking common ground without losing their passion for their perspectives. If you're ready for real talk and honest opinions, subscribe now and join the conversation.
We build a legacy, yeah, they know the name, STL Music, this a movie.